September 29th, I took the test and it said that I was pregnant. And it was, when I read the test, I was very emotional because it was
Burst
just
out in
like,
tears and everything.
I was like laughing and then I started crying because it was like, is this really serious? Like before, when we tried to conceive Aria, it was like such a process. And so just thinking in my mind like, oh, it could possibly be, but not thinking like it is.
Right.
And then reading the test and it being like, oh, you're pregnant. I was just like, wow, like that didn't take much.
Yeah.
And so
now my soldiers was definitely marching this
my
time.
goodness.
So I thought.
And so I was excited and emotional, and we went like automatically into how are we going to tell our family, how are we going to tell our friends.
Yeah, because it's the holiday season. You know, last time when we let our family know that Asha was pregnant with Arya, it was around Valentine's Day. So we gave our family, you know, different presents to reveal to them what was going on. So, you know, with Christmas coming up, we automatically just started planning that we wanted to do something similar for our family to let them know that, you know, they was having another grandchild. So, you know, it was really an exciting moment in this household. Just even, you know, starting to rub on the belly and talk to the belly and stuff like that. So it was really exciting.
Yeah. So pretty much after that, I was just like, I immediately called to schedule an appointment with my doctor because I just was just the way of how everything is with COVID and not knowing the process of, you know, being pregnant and how all of that went. I was just like, let me just call and figure out what I need to do because I'm sure everything is completely different now because of the pandemic. So I called, scheduled appointments, and they scheduled it for, I believe, like it was like maybe like a Friday or something that I called. So they scheduled it for that following Monday or Tuesday. So I was excited. I was anxious to go. I was a little bit upset, I'm not going to lie, because like I said, it is a pandemic. So I know that Devin wasn't going to be able to go to the appointment with me because, you know, you have to, as an adult, you have to go to the hospital by yourself. So that was,
it sucks.
Yeah.
It sucked because, you know, for me, it was like I was replaying in my mind, like what happened with Ari, where we went to the hospital and, you know, the doctor comes in with the ultrasound and then you get to see the baby for the first time. So I was kind of upset that I wasn't able to go to the first doctor's appointment to, you know, share that moment with Asha. But I basically just had to suck it up because it's like, these are the times that we're living in right now. I'm not the only dad who hasn't been able, you know, to go to doctor's appointments. Asha's not the only expecting mom who had to go through this process on her own. So it's just like, I had to suck it up and just try to make the best of the moment. And so what we decided to do was I was just going to FaceTime and, you know, be there for Asha, be there to see, you know, our little one for the first time on the ultrasound.
So, appointment day comes and I'm like really nervous because, like I said, it's completely new. The whole process of checking into the hospital and waiting, everything like that. It was like so different. And the hospital I went to is fairly like a large facility. So I'm used to, from being in there before, seeing like all the moms in there with their spouse or family member, whoever. And it was just like, just moms in there expecting moms just by themselves. And I was just like, wow, like this is completely different. So it was very upsetting, especially going in and thinking like, oh, you know, I'm pregnant and finding out, you know, these results and everything by myself. But it was just like, you know what, it's okay. They're all doing it. We're all doing it. It's unfortunate circumstances, but it's fine. We'll get through it. And so I go back to the doctor's office. Everything's like, you know, routine. Get ready for her to come in to do the ultrasound. She comes in and she's doing the ultrasound. And then she like shows, of course, she's showing me the ultrasound. And she says it's like the sac is there, but it's empty. And so at the time, Devin was on FaceTime because I had called him, and I'm just like what? Like, okay, what does this mean? She basically has said that it will result in a miscarriage because the baby wasn't developing. So she gave me my options of that I was going to either miscarry naturally, or they can give me medication to help me miscarry, or I can have a D&T surgery to remove everything. And so once she gave me all of that information, you know, Devin and I discussed it. I think we discussed it over the weekend. We kind of researched it to see what was the best option to go about, because I was very much opposed to surgery. Surgery don't sit well with me. Going under a knife is just like, if I don't have to, I don't want to, but I understood if I needed to, I would.
And I was more leaning to the natural.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I understood that it wasn't my decision, that it's Asha's body. And she said something to me that really opened up my eyes. Is, you know, I'm like, if your body naturally goes through this process, then maybe we should do it natural, because, you know, just putting different medicines in you, it's just a risk that comes with it. But Asha said something that really opened up my eyes, and it's like, it's hard to have these symptoms as if you have a baby growing in your body and you know that there's no baby growing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you're just sitting around waiting for it to pass.
Yeah.
And you don't know when it's going to happen. So to sit there with that thought in your mind that, you know, every time you go to the bathroom, then it might be the time.
Yeah.
That's tough to sit with. And when she said that, I knew that doing it naturally was, you know, off the table, because I couldn't imagine being a woman to have to, you know, go through something like that. That's extremely tough on you, mentally and physically. But like Asha said, she was opposed to the surgery, but at the end we felt like it was the best decision for Asha, and she'll share a little bit why that was the best decision.
Yeah. I was definitely not wanting to do the natural, like you said, just because like the idea of everything I was experiencing, right? It's like when you get the test results back that you are actually pregnant, you automatically like feel that connection, right? You automatically, your body, your mind, it just does something to you, and you're just like excited. Like, it's like you're, even before the baby is developed, it's like you have this like, or at least myself, you have this like connection that you feel like, okay, I have my child that's grown within me. And it's just like feeling those symptoms and feeling everything that I experienced from previously in my pregnancy. It was just like knowing that I wasn't going to be able to go through and actually conceive that child and birth that child. It was just like very daunting, and it was very hard to just like continue. So when she told me that, yes, this is what it is, you know, the baby's not going to develop, you're going to miscarry, it was just like I didn't want to continue on dealing with the mental anguish that I had, the emotional stress, the sickness. Like, I was just like, I want this to be over, because it's just too much. And so I was opposed to surgery. I was thinking about the route of medication. But then again, I'm just like, I don't know what's about to happen. I don't want to be at home and just going through it. So it's just like, you know what? And then the doctor actually, she explained to me, Devin was on the phone, that going the route of surgery, she recommended, because she would be able to test the tissue from my placenta and see what was the cause, to see if it was an actual molar pregnancy. And if it isn't, then to see what caused for me to, not actually conceive the baby and
what caused for us, because I don't want you to put the blame on you.
Well, yes, what caused for it to just basically be the gestational sac and not the embryo. And so I was just like, we agreed that was the best option because we hadn't experienced this before. We wanted to know what was going on. Why is this occurring? And so I went in and said, we're going to do the D&C. And so then we contacted family members, basically our parents, and told them, which was hard in itself because, like you said,
they didn't even know.
They didn't know, right? And so to hear that, we were pregnant, which was so awkward because it's just like you go in and say, we were trying to conceive, we were pregnant, and then they get that moment of excitement like, you guys are pregnant, but then it's followed up with, but the baby's not going to be able, we're going to experience a miscarriage. So that in itself was hard because it was just like a whirlwind of emotions. We're not around family. So it's just like, having to tell them something like this over the phone, over FaceTime, and not have their support for them to be here for us was definitely hard because it's just like, it's just us down here. And so that was difficult in itself. And like I said, I always been very opposed to surgery. I think the worst. So I was very afraid going into surgery. Like, I don't know what's going to happen and nobody's going to be around. My husband can't come. I'm going to be there by myself. So I was just an emotional wreck. But I had to pull it together and just be like, you know what? This is what we got to do. We prayed about it. Our family prayed. And it was just like, we've been through a lot in life, in our relationship. So it was just like, as hard as it is, we know that better days are to come. We can get through this. So we just had to lean on that, lean on each other, lean on our faith.